If you're a small business owner who's ever thought there has to be a better way to handle all of those vendor invoices you're constantly having to track and pay, this video is for you. Recently, I've been testing out a payment tool in my business called Melio. And today I'm going to give you the honest review. What it does, how much it costs, what I love about it, and some things you need to know before you sign up. Plus, I'm going to tell you whether I think it's actually worth it for small business owners. But before we get started, I want to talk about why I was on the hunt for a new payment tool in my business. Now, as much as I love to talk about organization and having your finances running on autopilot, the one area for a really long time that I didn't have organized in this way was my vendor payments. For me, my main vendor payments usually relate to contractors that I hire for various things in my business. And so what I would actually do is typically I'd get an invoice and I'd either go ahead and pay it right away so I wouldn't forget, or I wouldn't pay them right away and then I'd inevitably forget until they reminded me. And I realized that probably wasn't the best way to be managing these payments in my business, even though at the time I only had a few payments a month. And then as my business grew and I had more payments going out each month, this grew even more frustrating to deal with on my own. And let's be honest, I'm a little bit of a control freak when it comes to money, so I still like to be the one that sees the money that's going out of the business. So I didn't want to fully put this on a team member, but I figured that there had to be a better way that wasn't going to take me so much time and mental energy. So I looked around at various different platforms, but the one that really caught my eye was Melio. And that's because it felt like it was actually created for true small business owners. Now, previous to this, I honestly kind of thought that these types of accounts payable platforms were really meant for big businesses that had tons of vendor payments that they were having to process each and every month. But as I looked into it a little bit more, I realized how beneficial a tool like this could be even in my small business. And one illustration of the fact that Melio is built for true small business, they even have a free tier that you can use if you don't have a ton of volume, and you can still get the benefit of running your business like a pro. So that is why I'm talking about Melio here today. It's something that I have been utilizing in my own business and testing out, and I only recommend the tools that I truly trust. So let's jump on into the tool and I can give you a little bit of a tour. So I'm going to start out with the basics for those of you who maybe haven't heard of Melio before and don't really know how an accounts payable platform works, which was also me circa 6 months ago. Now, what I love about something like this versus just paying bills directly through your bank is that it allows you to put everything in one place. So not only can you pay vendors, but it also has a process for getting paid by your clients. And it's also really helpful for managing cash flow. We don't want to be paying vendors before we actually need to, because let's be honest, that means that cash is going out the door before it's actually due. And Melio helps fix that. And of course, it also syncs seamlessly with your accounting platform, especially if you're using QuickBooks Online or Xero. So that means that it can be used as truly an all-in-one platform versus jumping from 5 different systems. And setup is actually super easy. You can log in and it's going to walk you through exactly how to set up your first bill. So of course, the best way to get to know a new system is to actually try it out. And it just so happened that I owed a bill to my YouTube editor, and I decided to use that as my test case. I'll be honest, it's a little bit meta to be talking about this in a YouTube video because she's probably editing this right now and realizing that I'm talking about her. So, hi Amelia. Now, if I had had an invoice, I could have gone in and just dropped the invoice in and it would have pulled in all the details for me. But I'll show you the longer way, which is to type everything in yourself, which really doesn't take very long at all. And then the great thing was that I was able to go in and set up the date that I wanted it to be drafted. Now, in general, this is a great way to manage cash flow. If you were getting a bill and immediately paying it like I used to so that you wouldn't forget, you're probably paying it before the actual due date, which means it's actually creating a drag on cash flow. And as we know, cash is queen in a business, so we gotta make sure that we are keeping that cash flowing in and also controlling when that cash flows out. Now, there are multiple ways to add vendors as well. You can do it manually, or you can upload a list of vendors, or you can sync directly with QuickBooks Online or Xero, or you can even sync it with your Gmail. So however you're currently paying bills, you can make that work with Melio without having to start over from scratch. So let's talk through the features that I actually found to be most helpful for small business owners. First and foremost, I love that you can pay by credit card even if your vendor doesn't accept credit card. This is a game changer. And when we're talking about cash flow maximization, this is huge. Remember, when you pay on the due date, the vendor is going to get the full payment, but it's going to hit your credit card and not need to be paid for typically about a month. So that's giving you lots of extra cash flow float. Now, you are paying for that. There is a 2.9% fee to pay by credit card. But remember, on the flip side, you're also likely accruing credit card points. And if you're a point nerd like I am, you know that you can make those points go far. So if you're making cash back or points that are 3 to 5% on your purchases, it could absolutely make sense to pay by credit card and just pay the extra fee. So it's really personal preference whether you decide to do this, but I really like that they offer this as an option. Now, a second thing that I absolutely love about Melio is the same day payment options. I mentioned this before, but I love that I do not have to think about this multiple days ahead of time in order to get my vendor paid on a specific date. And there are actually multiple same day options that you can use. You can make a same day card payment, a same day ACH, or an instant transfer. So if you have a vendor that is breathing down your neck, thankfully you won't have to wait 3 to 5 days for that money to show up in their bank account. All right, my next favorite feature for Melio is the security. Of course, we're talking about real money here, cash money, and that means that security is so important. Now, I'm a CPA and I was an ex-auditor, and so I take security and internal controls very seriously, which is why I was glad to see a whole page on Melio's security, including things like the fact that they are PCI compliant, which is a must, and also that they're SOC 1, 2, and 3 compliant, which you don't need to know what that is, but it is important. If you're curious more about the security features of Melio, I've linked their page all about security down below so that you can check it out. Now, my next favorite feature of Melio is the mobile app, because let's be honest, we live our lives on the go. We're not always sitting at a desktop computer doing our work. So that means you can use your phone to make payments from anywhere. And it also means you can receive notifications and approve or decline payments, even if you're out in the field or on vacation. So for anyone who travels frequently or maybe goes out to a lot of client sites, this is huge. Plus, you can also use your phone to take a picture of a bill. Maybe if you receive them in the mail and need to get it into your system, you can easily use the mobile app for that as well. So to me, that's a genuinely useful feature. The next feature we're going to talk about is paying international vendors. Now, if you work with vendors or contractors who are outside the United States, you know that it can sometimes be a little bit of a pain to figure out how to pay them. I've had this happen before as well. I've had contractors in other countries, and I currently have one that is in Canada. And so it can just make things complicated to make those payments. But with Melio, you can pay them either in US dollar or you can pay them in their local currency. And you can choose to pay them by credit card or by ACH. So no more scrambling trying to figure out how to pay an international wire transfer or paying crazy exchange rates. Melio can handle all of it. Now, moving on to one of my other favorite features, and this one particularly speaks to me as an accountant, Melio syncs with QuickBooks Online and Xero seamlessly. If you follow this channel at all, you know that I talk quite a bit here about bookkeeping softwares and finding the best one for your business. This topic is so important to me that I even built an entire quiz to help you figure out what accounting software is best for you, which you can find at jamietrull.com/accounting quiz. And as much as I love accounting and bookkeeping software for what it can do, I hate inefficiencies where you're having to do things multiple times. Thankfully though, Melio syncs perfectly, which means you don't have to enter a bill in one place and then go and enter it again somewhere else. All the data that you put into Melio will seamlessly be moved into your accounting platform. And for those of you who are Xero users, like I am now, Xero actually purchased Melio last year. And the great thing about that is that now many of the amazing features about Melio are directly integrated into the interface in Xero, which means you can use Melio to manage your vendor payments directly through Xero now without even having to log into another system. And that, my friends, is a time saver. Next on the list of awesome things about Melio are the team and workflow features. If you have a team, even if it's a really small team, these workflow features are really useful. If you don't want to be the one always having to process those bill payments, you can assign that to a team member and still make sure everything flows through you for approval. And even if you really trust your employees, it's a good idea to make sure that you're approving payments. And that's because I've heard countless stories of trusted employees either committing outright fraud or just making mistakes like entering a bill twice. So these approval workflows can really make sure that you stay accurate and on top of things without you having to be the only one doing everything. And not only that, these features allow you to pay multiple bills at once as well, which can also be a really big time saver. And now let's talk about another favorite feature of Melio, and that is getting paid faster. And yes, I said getting paid. Melio is not just for paying your bills. You can also use it to get paid yourself. You can actually send customized payment links to your clients through Melio that allow them to pay you. And they can pay you by either credit card or ACH, however you decide, and they don't need to sign up for an account in order to be able to pay you. And you know that I think it's really important to make it very easy for people to pay you. We do not want to put roadblocks in front of receiving cash. So that is really critical. Plus, you can also use Melio to issue invoices to your clients, and you get to choose how you want them to pay, either credit card or ACH. And if you choose to allow them to pay with credit card, you can decide whether they pay the fee or you do. And of course, everything seamlessly syncs back to QuickBooks Online or Xero. So especially for those of you who are service-based businesses, this is a great way to use Melio to manage both sides of your cash flow, both your cash payments and your cash receipts. So what's my honest CPA take on Melio after I've been using it for a little while? Well, you can probably tell, but I kind of love it. And the reason that I love it isn't necessarily for all the features, but I love the thought that was put into really building this for small business owners and what their unique needs are. They really thought through things like cash flow needs, right? With the ability to pay via credit card. They thought through the challenges that small business owners run into trying to make international payments, the mobile app so that you can manage payments on the go. Plus, they even thought about the fact that it might be a barrier if a vendor or a client has to set up a specific Melio account in order to pay you or receive money. And so you don't have to do that at all. They do not require that they have an account. And that's a big one, and that's not true for a lot of Melio's competitors. So to me, it really feels like they have put thought into taking the friction out of both paying vendors and also receiving cash. Now, is it the right tool for every single business owner? Well, of course not. Nothing is. But I do think that even if you only have a few bills that you are routinely paying on a monthly basis, this could be really helpful for you. It's something that I wish that I had instituted years ago when I thought I was too small for it. And I think that's evident also by the fact that they do offer a free plan if you're paying 5 or less bills per month. So that means that even if you feel like you're too small for this, you can go ahead and start putting a process together for making payments so that when you grow, it becomes so much easier. Of course, if you want to try Melio for yourself and check out any special deals going on right now, go to jamietrull.com/Melio. Like I said, I only recommend brands that I truly trust and have used, and now Melio has made that list. If you have other tools that you'd love to see my honest CPA review of, make sure to tell me what they are down below. I literally love checking out new tools for you guys. Thanks for joining me. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.